Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. So I have a really fun video today. I decided to order the makeup line from Shein and it's called Sheglam. And this is the look I created with the items I ordered. It was definitely a journey trying to achieve this look. There was a lot of hits and misses within the line. So this will be a very long video. Make sure you grab a snack, grab a drink, and come join me. But before we get into the video, make sure you give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe down below. And you want to make sure you hit that bell notification so that way you're notified every single time I upload. So without further ado, let's get into the video. Okay, so first I'm going to start out with tools. So I did purchase 2 packs of the Sheglam Beauty Blenders. And here's the first pack. So this one is the damp one, which is why it's so much bigger. So these are pretty much like your typical sponge. I will say when you feel them, the Beauty Blender, which is this one, it's so dirty, is a lot softer. And this one's a little bit more stiff. It has a little bit more, it's a little bit more dense. I would say that the Sheglam Beauty Blenders feel very similar to the Morphe ones, which are these ones right here. And then I also picked up this set. They're both dry. So this one is a little bit smaller than this one. And they both came in almost like cellophane. And so when I unwrapped it, I don't know if you'll be able to see, but this one came all dented and scratched. If you can kind of see it in the camera, which is kind of a bummer, but they were super inexpensive. I think they were $1.99 or something like that. So it's not the end of the world. I'm sure you can still use it, especially if you use the other side. So I also picked up 2 sets of brushes. One is an all eye brush set, and then the other one is face and eyes. So this first one is the face and eyes, and it comes like this. And one thing I instantly noticed was in this set, it all had bristles that were longer than the rest. So let me hold up 1 or 2 so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. I don't know if you can see, but I don't know if you can really see in the camera, but there's hairs up here that are a lot taller than the brushes themselves. And just in case, I will insert a picture here so that way you can see exactly what I'm talking about. So that's kind of a bummer. I feel like in order to actually start your makeup, you would have to trim all these bristles down so that way they're all the same length. And it's like that on every single brush in this pack, which is kind of a bummer. One of the brushes actually ended up breaking before I even used it, which is kind of a bummer. It completely came unglued. So I think this one, as a brush set, is kind of a flop from first impressions. And then the next brush set I got, and all of these brushes came together. So it's a huge collection. I think it was around $7 or $8. It wasn't too expensive. They all came individually packaged, and then they all got grouped together in one bigger package, which was kind of nice. So in this set, it has everything from a brow brush like this one, which has a spoolie and a brush head on that side. It's got your eye brushes, and then it looks like it's got 2 big powder brushes, which is kind of nice. Now I will say that on a couple of the brushes, the bristles actually, it looked like they got smushed and pressed against in a funky position when they were sliding the plastic on. Because you can, I don't know if you can see, but some of the bristles actually are fanned out, which makes it harder to use when they're not kind of smushed together into their form. And then this one has the same thing. There's some bristles coming out the outside. So I would say between the two brush sets, the one that has all the eye brushes was definitely the better value as far as quality when I'm looking at them for the first time. And the beauty blenders, we'll see how they go. I mean, a sponge is a sponge, right? So I don't think it could be absolutely terrible, but we'll see. So one thing I noticed when I was kind of going through my shopping list, because I wanted to try and pick up one of everything in a category, you know, like one primer, one foundation, concealer, blush, etc. I noticed that they didn't have any primers, like no primers for the face, no primers for the eyes. So for today's video, I'm just going to go in with my normal primer, and then I will continue with the rest of the Sheglam stuff. And then for the eyes, I'll use my own primer since they didn't have one as well. Okay, so I'm going to start out with my Milk Hydro Grip Primer. Like I said, I've really been loving this primer. I think it works so well. And I'm just going to put that all over my face. So I'm going to skip to the foundation step real quick. So when I went to go pick out foundation, it was honestly so hard. One, they have maybe 4 shades for the 2 types of foundations that they have. At least if they have more, they weren't listed online. I did check again yesterday just to double check, and the one that I got is their Ultra Wear Foundation, and they only had 4 shades of this on there. And typically with foundations, I am neutral undertones. I'm not warm, I'm not cool, I'm always neutral. And they only had 1 shade that was neutral, and it was called Natural. So I said, okay, fine, I'll pick it up. On first impression, it is so yellow. So this look may come out looking like a hot mess, but I ordered it, and so that's what I'm gonna have to use for this review. But one thing I noticed is Natural, which is the shade I got, was shade number 1. So there were no shades lighter than that. There were a couple of shades in the same color spectrum. One was yellow, one was more pink, and then there was one semi-dark one, and there were truly no dark shades or deep dark, which was kind of disappointing because I feel like if you're going to launch a beauty brand, especially in this day and age, at least have enough shades to cover all different types of skin tones. Don't just limit it to like 4 shades. I mean, that doesn't apply to half the people, and for me personally, this isn't even going to match my skin tone. And their shade range kind of stayed that way throughout their line. You know, everything from foundations to concealers to cream products like cream contours or highlights, even some of their powders. So I feel like it's a very small line. It's not very inclusive to all skin tones, even skin types. You know, they have a matte foundation and then they have this one. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how popular or unpopular this line will become, just because they don't appeal to everybody. Now, right off the bat, I can tell you that this sponge is very hard. I feel like it's not pushing the product into my skin. I'm really having to go back over certain spots. The foundation I got was their medium to full coverage foundation, and just at one pass kind of around my face, I'm noticing it's more of a lightweight slash medium foundation. Usually with medium foundations, I do have more coverage than this. So I feel like in order to get a true medium to full coverage, I would have to do maybe 2 or 3 coats of their foundation. Now, because it is a very light coverage, I am going to go in and do 2 more pumps. I already put 2 pumps on my face and it just wasn't enough. And what I'm noticing is that the more this oxidizes, the more orange I'm looking. Okay, so a couple things to point out right now. One, the foundation does have a scent to it. It's a very, very light floral scent. So if you are somebody that doesn't like fragrance, that can't wear fragrance, you may notice it. It may bother you. It's not overwhelming. It's not super powerful, but I do smell it. Well, I do smell it as I'm applying it. So next up, we're moving on to concealer, and I wasn't sure which one to pick up. So I picked up shade number 1 and number 2. Number 1 is fair and number 2 is light. And honestly, at first glance, they are identical. I mean, you may be able to see a little bit of a difference in the camera. I'm going to take the shade Fair, which is number 1, and do my concealer. And this is their, what did they call it? I think they called it their creamy, their creamy concealer. It's very, very light as far as consistency. It's not a heavy concealer. If you wanted a full coverage concealer, you would definitely have to apply a second coat. It's not thick like the Tarte Shape Tape, but it does give semi-nice coverage. I'm not mad at it. It's workable. And it's interesting. It looks very, very white on the camera, but in person, it really blended in nicely. It doesn't look that white. Moving on to powder, because I always set my face with powder. I decided to pick up their translucent powder, or what they advertised as translucent powder. So it is this product right here, and then on the back it says 101 Pearl White. When I opened this translucent powder, it does come with a little powder puff, which is nice, and it just sits on top of here like that, which is great. And then you lift up this plastic lid, and the powder is in here. I won't tilt it because then I'll get powder everywhere. So it's not too bad. It's a very fine powder. It's blending into the skin nicely. Now, one thing I am noticing is that it is a little hard to get the powder out. So you can't just push it in there and pick up powder. You actually have to close this top lid, flip it over, shake it, then open it back up to get powder. It's not the end of the world, but I could see how it could be inconvenient for some people. Okay, so next up is the Sheglam 3D Pro Face Palette. And before I show you the colors, I want to read to you a description about this palette. It says, dust over your cheekbones, nose, and jawline, sculpting contours and enhancing your natural features beautifully. Comes with a highlighter, a setting powder, and 2 gorgeous contouring shades. Now, let me show you. This is the palette, and to me, this is not contour at all. What I see in this palette is a blush and 3 highlighters, being 100% honest. And this one right here, this top one, which you can see my finger smudge in it, is the cream product. And I will swatch these for you just so you can see. But to me, I don't see contour in here whatsoever. So I would probably pass on that. So here is that white shade. And here is, the middle one is the gold shade, and then the pink one is the blush, or what I consider to be blush. And they're very pretty in person. The white one on me and my skin tone would be a little too chalky looking, but I think I could get away with the gold or the pink blush. And I'm going to show you some other bronzers and blushes that I picked up. Okay, so I'll tell you why I'm like hemming and hawing. So I looked on the back of these bronzers because in the packaging, they look pretty, you know, they look like normal powder bronzers. But then the back says metallic glow bronzer, which tells me it's kind of a glittery bronzer, and I don't like, besides a highlight, I don't like glittery products. Like for my blushes and my bronzers, I prefer a matte, but we'll give them a try. Let's see. So I'm going to take this powder brush number 20. It was from the eye brush set that had the most brushes and then the 2 powder brushes. So I'm going to take this lighter bronzer shade. Okay, where's the pigment? I'm going to try and take this bronzer shade and bronze up my face. Okay, not showing up, so that one's a flop. I'm going to take this second option, which is the metallic glow bronzer in Virgo, which is a little bit darker. Okay, there we go. This one has some pigment to it. The other one, not so much. All right, we're in business now. So anytime I see the word glow in bronzer, it just makes me nervous. Unless you're going for a beachy, bronzy, kind of glowy look, that's one thing. But for every day, I kind of prefer, like I said, matte. So let's see. So first impressions on this bronzer, I think it's nice. Your brush doesn't pick up a lot of product, which can be a really good thing because then it's harder to overdo it. You just may have to go back a few times and really build up your contour. So it's kind of interesting. As I'm applying my bronzer, right in this corner here, this area, as I'm pushing my bronzer around and blending it in, my foundation is starting to rub away. So it's becoming a little patchy in that area, which normally doesn't happen. So either the foundation isn't sticking well to the powder, or the setting powder isn't setting the foundation well. The 2 powders just don't mesh well, but something is definitely going on right there. I do see some product that is starting to roll up. So we'll have to see how that unfolds as the day goes on. On this side, I really don't have that problem here, which is kind of interesting. Now I will mention, so far I am starting to get a little creasing under my eyes. I always have a little bit because I have wrinkles under my eyes, but this is a little bit more than I'm used to. It's really settling in the lines, which I'm not loving. I'm just going to take this short shader brush and just kind of blend that out. Hopefully by blending it out, it won't happen again because it's only been like 15-20 minutes since I applied it. Okay, so moving on to blush. I got a couple. So the first one I got is the Face Palette Powder in the shade Tangerine. It's actually really, really pretty, and it goes from a dark pink to a light tangerine color, and it is a matte looking bronzer, which I'm all about. It's very, very pink, which is, I don't know if you can see, it's kind of that color right there. And then the next one I picked up was the Chill Out Ombre Blush. And this one I thought was going to be really pretty. It is kind of like a peachy to a yellow ombre. The shade is number 3, called Mango Tango. Whoa. Very pretty color. More like a highlight in my opinion. Do you see that? It's very, very glowy, glittery. I just think it's more highlight than a blush, so I'm probably going to pass on that one as a blush. I may try it as a highlighter later on, we'll see. And then the next next blush I got is this really pretty one. It's number 203 in the shade Honey Milk Tea. And the packaging is like this. And I don't know, it's not really picking it up, but it's got kind of a really light holographic to it. And it's got a mirror, which is great. And the shade is really pretty. It's just this perfect pink color. And I will say that some of these powders are a little powdery. And by that I mean they're a little on the chalky side. So here's the color right here. It's kind of got a white chalkiness to it. Okay, so for this I'm just going to take the same brush that I used for my bronzer. Dip into a little bit of that. Oh my goodness. So first impressions, it went on very pink, very chalky, and I was like, oh boy. And then it just disappeared. So this one, I took the Tangerine blush, which is this one right here, and it shows up a little bit, but I'm not sure if I'm loving it. It's very patchy in certain areas, so some areas have a lot more color than others, so it just kind of is a little bit looking like a mess. But if I had to say between the two, this one would probably be the better one, the Tangerine, just pigment wise. Moving on to highlight. Let's try highlight at this moment. So I got one and it is called Taurus, and it looks like this. It's a really pretty gold shimmery highlight. And I'm going to apply it like I normally do. So I'm going to take my Morphe setting spray, and this brush is the pointed brush number 19. And this brush is a little interesting looking. Like, I don't know if you can tell, but the point is not in the middle. Like, this goes way over, and then this is more straight. So I feel like they cut too many hairs off this side and it kind of went funky. But we'll try it. So honestly, this highlighter is a flop. There's no glow. The only thing that is sticking is glitter. Like, you can't even see it in the monitor. There's literally no glow. And yeah, I don't like it. So it's a pass for me. So moving on to eyes, which is going to be the most interesting part. And like I mentioned in the beginning of this video, they did not sell an eye primer, which I was really surprised about. So I'm just going to go in with my trusted P. Louise base. I'm taking a little bit on the back of my hand, and I'm first starting out with the sponge. So from the line, I picked up 3 palettes. And the 3 palettes I picked up are, this one is Seafoam. So it looks like this. And these are the colors, mint colors. These 3 palettes remind me a lot of the Huda Beauty pastel palette. and the colors look really pretty, so hopefully they work better than the face products. Okay, so I picked up 3 eyeshadow palettes. I picked up the palettes Seafoam, Rhapsody, and Bubblegum. And this is what the palettes look like. And they remind me a lot of the Huda Beauty pastel palette. This first one, it's Seafoam, would be the mint / greenish blue color palette. And it does have the palette name in the inside of the palette, which is cute. I do wish they had mirrors though, so that way you could travel with it. But the packaging is pretty sturdy, so that's good. The next one is Rhapsody, same thing, but this one is the lavenders. And this one is Bubblegum, which is the pinks. And each palette has 9 shades. There's about 5 mattes and 4 shimmers in each palette, which is a great mixture, so you get some variety, which I like. And because I have 3 palettes, I thought I would try them out as best as I could. So I'm actually going to do 2 separate eye looks, 2 different color palettes, so that way I can try more colors from every palette. I'm going to take the shade U from the Lavender Rhapsody palette right here. I'm just taking that on the Flawless Concealer brush number 5. Okay, we're gonna have to try and change this up a minute. So the shade U, pretty, not really showing up. So we'll see how these looks kind of evolve. Let me try and dip in with a darker shade. I'm gonna go in with, that's interesting. This is the shade Mint right here. So I'm going to take that shade and see if I can get any color with that one. So this one shows up a little better. Not great. It's there. It's not bright. And the more I blend it, the worse it gets, being 100% honest. So when you first apply this shade, it does come out a mint color, which is really pretty, but as you start to blend it out, it's like the color disappears and it just becomes like a white. So I'm not really living for it. So I may end up using all the colors in these palettes because I'm trying to find one that will stick. So the next shade I'm going to try is Tequila Sunrise. It's this dark brown right here. And we're going to pop this in. Interesting. So in the pan it looks more brown. And when you apply it, 1, it disappears. But 2, it starts out being more peachy. And then, like I said, as you apply it, literally it disappears. Like, no color. Okay, so first impressions, the eyeshadows are pretty awful. There really is no color, like distinct color. They all kind of blend out to the same color, which is really, really weird. So I'm just gonna leave my crease color as is because there's not much I can do with it. And I'm going to take, let me see. I'm gonna take this color and go in, it's a shimmer, it's called Mimosa. And it's this lime green shimmer one right here. This sticks. So I'm just applying it with my finger because typically when I do shimmer shades, I do apply them with my finger. Okay, so this is sticking a little bit better than I thought it would. I thought it was going to be a complete flop, just like the matte shades. Not much fallout on the skin, so that's positive. There's really no fallout in the pans either, which is great. I'm going to try and wet my brush and see if I can intensify it a little bit. Let me take this one, and this one is going to be the medium shader brush number 2. And I'm just spraying it with the Morphe setting spray. Okay, so it picked up the product. So this mimosa color is really pretty. I had to work at it a little bit. So I don't have any extra product on my brush. I'm just taking whatever is left and I'm brushing it under this eye. Let me say this. So the brushes that I'm using, they're not terrible. I think if you are just starting out, you're just learning how to do makeup, if you don't have the money to invest in like even Morphe brushes, I think these are a great option. You get to learn the different styles of brushes, how the different brushes work for different looks. You know, when do you use a dense brush, when do you use a fluffy brush, etc. I think it's a great starter kit. If you are a little bit more past the beginner stage, then I think Morphe is a better bang for your buck, especially for the brushes. You definitely get way better quality with Morphe. But some of these are doable. I don't think they're terrible. Now, I wouldn't recommend the gold brushes, which have, oh, this is the broken one. I wouldn't recommend this set just because you would have to trim all these bristles, such a pain in the butt. I know in the makeup world, purples and greens are very hard to create. So with this other eye, I thought I would go in with some matte purples and see how those blend out. Okay, so we have some pigment here, so that's at least a positive. But I'm noticing as you blend it out, it does start to disappear a little bit. So now I'm going to dip into that Mandala shade. It's the darker purple, and I'm going to put this in the crease. And when I'm using this palette, it's kind of interesting because the shades look a certain way, and then you apply them and they're totally not what you thought they were going to be. You know, like for example, that earth shade, that dark brown, it looks dark brown in the palette, and then you put it on and it's a lot more peachy and it's a lot lighter. So it is very interesting. Okay, so I'm going to take this color from the Seafoam palette. This is called Blue Hawaii. And okay, no, I'm not. So this is what it looks like. In person, it's literally just blue glitter. There's no pigment there, even when I swatch it. Okay, so a lot of the blue shimmers in the Seafoam palette just don't give off any pigmentation. So when I'm swatching them, it's literally just glitter that transfers to your hand. So unfortunately on this palette, I'm gonna have to pass. I'm gonna try and see if I can find another color either in the Bubblegum palette or the Rhapsody palette. I'm gonna try this shade Meet Me, which is a pink and gold swirl color, which is this one right here. So I'm gonna try that one and see if I can get any pigmentation from it. Okay, I get a little bit, it's better. But I do want to show you guys, I don't know if you can see it, but it's a very, very soft shadow. So as I rub into it, which I'm not rubbing very hard, it is making a dent in that shadow, and it's actually pushing the product. Let me turn it this way. It's actually kind of pushing the product out of the pan. So it is a very, very soft shadow. So let me see if this one applies or wants to apply. No. So I'm going to zoom you in so you can see what I'm talking about. but all of the product stuck to my finger and none transferred to my eyelid. So let me zoom you in real quick so you can see what I'm talking about. So let's start with this eye. So as you can see, not much color in the crease at all. The green color, it's not bad. I can definitely tell that throughout the day it's going to fade away. I can already see it's starting to fade away kind of in the crease area. So that one I'm not sold on. Now, if you zoom in to this eye, this whole white spot right here is my base. So there's literally no color. Literally just chunks of glitter transferred. The purple did show up. The color purple that you're seeing right now is basically the dark shade. So in my opinion, it's not even dark. I know that they do have other palettes, like other neutral palettes that may give off more pigmentation, but I feel like if I purchase 3 palettes and they're all the same, I don't have high hopes for the others. But I do want to finish this look. I want to give it the best chance possible. So I'm going to try maybe a shade from the purple palette, since that one seems to have the best payoff. This one is actually beautiful. This one just came off like butter. So hopefully this one works well. This was the shade Unicorn right here. So let's see how this one does. Okay, honestly, 100 times better. So it's kind of interesting because it seems like the purple palette is the one that's having the best payoff, and purples are the hardest to make. So I find that kind of a little interesting. The pinks, the bubblegum palette, non-existent, so I'm just gonna put that one to the side. I'm going to take my flat shader brush again, and I'm going to try and put a little setting spray and see if I can build up the glitter a little bit more. So when I applied it, or when I touched the shade with my finger, a lot of pigment and product came up, which was great. But when I do it on the brush, there really isn't a lot of product, which usually when you spray a brush and pick up like a shimmery shade, it does tend to pick up quite nicely. Okay, so it's not terrible. Would I recommend this palette? No, probably not. It's not worth it. You know, you can buy e.l.f. products or NYX products or even L'Oreal palettes, and they have better payoff than this. So far, the palettes are definitely a no for me, especially if I purchased 3 of them and all 3 flopped. So I would say no on the palettes. So I'm just gonna leave you zoomed in right now. I'm gonna start with my eyes. It's very interesting because the packaging on most of the products is very cheap, obviously because of the price point. So it's very plasticky, it's very lightweight, there's nothing to it. But when you get to the eye products, the eyeliner and mascara I picked out, both have substantial weight to them. The packaging seems more luxurious, black and gold. The mascara here has kind of like a twist effect, if you will. And one thing I'm noticing about the Sheglam line is the fact that their product packaging is very inconsistent. I mean, it's just all different packaging. So I feel like it's not uniform, it's not consistent. So I decided to pick up the liquid eyeliner. Like I said, it is pretty weighted. Doesn't really have a smell, it has a light smell. I'm gonna try and apply this. Hopefully I don't get an eye infection, but we'll just say a prayer. Okay, so one thing I'm noticing off the bat, the formula is so chunky. Like, I literally have chunks on my eyelid, which is gross. It's not, ooh, I just spilled eyeliner everywhere. Be right back, you guys. All right, you guys, so I am back. I don't like the eyeliner, 100% honest. It's very, very chunky. It's a very wet eyeliner, obviously, because I just built it all over my floor. Good thing my floor is tile. Hopefully before the end of this review, there's something that just wows me, because right now it's just not there. So up next, I'm using the mascara. This is black. Okay, how original. It has a smell to it. It's really weird. It's obviously a very, very small wand. I don't know. I don't know if I love it. Let's see. It's just a weird smell. Hello. Okay. No product is coming onto my lashes, so we're gonna re-dip. Hopefully the brush is coated. Okay, so now we're starting to get the lashes coated. It's not really separating the lashes. Yeah, I'm not liking this either. And to be honest, I know I've talked about it in several of my videos, but I feel like go to Ulta, buy Essence eyeliner mascara. It works so well. I think it's between $2.99 and $4.99. I think the eyeliners are like $2 or $3.99, and then the mascaras are $4.99. So basically almost the same price as this, and 1,000 times better. I also picked up a package of their false lashes. They seem to be nice. I'm hoping something, please let something work amazing. So this is the pack I got. It's a 5-pack. It did come with this lash applicator. It is metal, which I will say is nice. I've gotten lashes in the past that come with the plastic applicators, and they're just, honestly, they're just crap. So I do appreciate that this is metal. However, I never use these. I feel like it's so hard to put lashes on with this, so I'm not going to use this. I'm just going to use tweezers like normal. So here's what the lashes look like up close. They're very, very dramatic styles. Because my eyeliner is so crappy, I think I'm going to do these ones right now there, so that way it can cover them up just a little bit. The band is very thin. The lashes are very flexible. They're not too stiff, not plasticky, so that's a plus. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim the lashes to fit my eye. I'm going to go in with my velour lash glue. I'm going to apply these lashes, and I will be right back. Okay, so we are back. Lashes are on. They feel great. They're not stabbing me or anything like that. I actually really do like the lashes and the fact that they came in a set of 5, and I think it was $2 or $3. Not very expensive. I think these are great, especially if you're learning to apply lashes yourself. I think this is a great starter kit and a great way to learn and get your groove while you're learning to apply lashes. So next up is lipstick, and I picked up the color Chic, and it looks like this, and it's actually very heavy. I was surprised, and of course, you guys know me. It is a nude. It looks very brown tone, so I'm very excited about that. Embossed in the lipstick itself, it says Sheglam. So I'm going to apply this. Okay, I already love this lipstick. 1, I love the color. 2, it is very creamy, yet it's a little matte. I love it. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the Huda Beauty matte lipsticks. It's very moisturizing, feels very good on the lips. Finally, we found something that is good and worth it. Overall, you guys, I think the two best items are the lashes and the lipstick. The lipstick is probably my favorite item from this collection. Everything else was just honestly a flop for me. If you tried any of the Sheglam stuff and you found something that worked really well, definitely let me know in the comments. I would love to hear it out. I would definitely order it, give it a try myself. So if you made it this far, make sure you give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe down below. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that bell on your way out so that way you're notified every single time I upload. And until next time, guys, take care. Bye, guys.